Today we are talking about solving multi-step equations. Number 1, 9x plus 7 minus 4x equals 22. We see x's in two places. So let's combine like terms. A 9x and a negative 4x give us a 5x. We'll bring down that plus 7. We haven't used it. Set it equal to our 22. We're still trying to get our x by itself. This is a two-step equation. Undo addition with subtraction. We're left with 5x is equal to our 15. And now we have a one-step equation. Get our variable by itself and do that multiplication with some division. So x is equal to 3 is your final answer. When you come across a problem like number 2, we see parentheses. When we see parentheses, we need to remember to distribute the numbers in front of those parentheses, and we're going to follow those signs. So my negative 2 here is being multiplied by our two terms, 7x and our negative 13. So we have our negative 2 times our 7x. And we also have our negative 2 times our negative 13. We have our negative 9 gets distributed, positive 9, gets distributed to multiply. 9 times x gives us a 9x. 9 times 6 leaves us with a 54. We'll bring down our equals and our 0. I went ahead and simplified just a little bit. We did some multiplication here. A negative 2 times a 7 gives us our negative 14 in front of the x. And a negative 2 times a negative 13 gives us a positive 26. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. If we combine our x's together, a negative 14x and a positive 9x give us a negative 5x. A positive 26 and a positive 54 leave us with a positive 80. We're still going to bring down our equal sign and our 0. And now we have a two-step equation. So I'll start off by subtracting 80, both sides. Negative 5x is equal to a negative 80. And from there, divide by negative 5 both sides. To get x equals 16 as our final solution. Go ahead and take a few minutes, try numbers 3 and 4. Let's take a look at numbers 3 and 4. For number 3, we see parentheses. Therefore, that negative 3 in front of those parentheses gets distributed to both terms inside the parentheses. So we're left with 8t. We multiply negative 3t minus our 14 times our negative 3 to be a negative 42. And combine like terms. Our t's combine to give us a 5t minus 42 equals that negative 7. And we can go ahead and finish this two-step equation. We go ahead and add 42 both sides, and then divide by 5, and t is equal to 7. For number 4, we see our parentheses, and the number in front of those parentheses gets distributed to both terms, the 5 and your negative 4x. Multiplying negative 2 by 5, we get our negative 10, and negative 2 times our negative 4x gives us our positive 8x. From here, combine like terms. Here are our x's on one side of our equation. Bring down your negative 32 equals 3 and 8 make a 11x. Bring down that minus 10. We haven't used it. It stays on that side of the equation. And now we can follow that two-step equation. Undo subtraction with addition. 11x is equal to that negative 32 plus 10 more of a negative 22. Last step, get that variable all by itself. Divide by that 11 both sides, and x is equal to a negative 2. Go ahead and try numbers 5 and 6. For 5 and 6, we see some fractions. To get rid of those fractions, well, there's only one fraction here and one fraction here. Okay, let's take a look at number 5 first. For number 5, our denominator is 10. Let's get rid of the fraction by multiplying by 5 both sides. So our 5 and 5 would cancel to leave us with a 9x plus 10 is equal to our 35. And from here, we have a two-step equation. Subtract 10 both sides. 9x would be equal to our 25. And get x by itself, divide by 9, and x is equal to 25/9. Now you can leave it as a fraction. You can plug this into your calculator. 25 divided by 9 is going to give us a decimal. That's 2.77 repeating. I'm just going to round it to the nearest tens, hundredths, thousandths place. So that would be an x is equal to 2.77 repeating. Or we can round there. And since we're rounding, we're using that approximation sign. Number 6 is very similar. We're going to multiply both sides by our denominator to get rid of that fraction. 2x plus 6 is equal to our 30. We have our two-step equation. (30 minus 6 leaves us with our 24, and we get x all by itself. 24 divided by 2 gives us our 12. When we see multiple fractions, we talked about how to get rid of those fractions by looking for the least common multiple of all of those numbers in our denominators. So we have 5, we have 10. So we list out that least common multiple, 5, 10, 15. Well, we can see that 10 times 1 is 10, and that least common multiple that they have in common is 10. So we're going to go ahead and multiply both the left and the right by 10. When we multiply the entire left side, we have to distribute. We'll get a negative 10 times 4 is 40 over 5x. We'll get a negative 10 times 2 is 20 over 5 is equal to a 2 times 10 is 20 over 10. And we'll simplify. Negative 8x minus 4 is equal to 2. And we have a two-step equation. So we will add 4 both sides. Negative those cancel. Negative 8x, there we go, is equal to our 6. And we'll divide both sides to get x by itself. Our negative 8's go away. and we get negative 6/8. We'll reduce as much as possible. Let's divide the top and the bottom by 2. So we get 3/4. So x is equal to 3/4. I almost forgot that negative. This was a negative 6/8. So we can write it as a negative 3/4. Now keep in mind a negative 3/4 can be written a few different ways with the negative out front. That's the same thing as if our negative was in the numerator, so negative 3/4, or even if our negative was in our denominator. These all equal negative 3/4, even though they're written in 3 different ways. Number 8 is going to work similarly. So we have 3 different fractions. I'm going to look at those denominators. We have 3, 2, and 6. We're looking for a least common multiple. If you don't see that right away, that's okay. We have multiple. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's keep going. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have 6 times 1 is 6. And we can see that now we have an LCM of 6. So we're going to multiply both sides of our equation by that 6. So 6 on both sides. And now we distribute that 6 into our parentheses. So let's go ahead and multiply. 6 times 2 gives us our 12. Denominator of 3. 6 times 1 gives us 6. We have a denominator of 2. 5 times 6 is a 30. We have a denominator of 6. And now we can simplify. 12/3 gives us our 4. 6/2 gives us a 3. 30 divided by 6 gives us a 5. And so we'll be left with our 4x equals 2. Divide by 4 to get x all by itself. And a 2/4 can be written as a 1/2 or even a 0.5. Number 9. The perimeter of a trapezoid shown to the right is 540 inches. We need to solve for x. Perimeter means that we're going to add the outsides of the trapezoid. So we're going around the shape. So our trapezoid has 4 sides, and we can see that they're all given to us. So we're going to add those 1, 2, 3, 4 expressions. Let's go ahead and do it. So we can write an equation, our 117 plus our x minus 10 plus our 3x plus 1 plus our 4x. We can go ahead and combine some like terms. So find all of our x's. Here's our 4x, here's a 3x, and here, sneaky, is a 1x. So combine those, that's a 7, 8x altogether. We have that 117, negative 10, and 1 are like terms as well. Let's go ahead and combine those. Combining, we get 108. Bring down your equal sign and your 540. And we finally have a 2-step equation. So let's subtract 108 both sides. $540 minus our 108 is going to leave us with 432. And we can divide both sides by 8 to get x by itself. So x is equal to 54 inches here. And our last problem here. A canoe rental service charges $20 transportation and $30 per hour to rent a canoe. We need to write an equation to represent the total cost of the canoe rental. So we know our total for the rental is going to be that $20 transportation fee and $30 per hour. So I'm going to represent H to be my hours. And when we write an equation, we don't necessarily need those dollar signs, so total is equal to 20 plus 30H. The second part of our problem says if we paid a total of $260 for the canoe, how long did we rent it for? So we will replace the total with that $260 and we will go ahead and solve for H, or the number of hours it took for us to rent the canoe. $260 minus 20 is $240. $30 per hour divided by our 30. And we're left with our 8. So what does this mean? We rented, H is in hours, we rented the canoe for 8 hours.